Good afternoon, grade 8s. Today we will be looking at some of the answer keys for the questions on page 81. So what I need you to do now is to please take out your textbooks and turn to page 81. And over there we will see some of the questions. What I need you to do now is to look at the first one. The moon has gravity just like Earth. Let's go to page 78, please. And there we will see in paragraph 2, the moon, unlike planet Earth, has very little gravity. So that statement is incorrect. So that would be false because the moon has very little gravity. Let's now go back to question 2. In question 2, it says, or statement 2, it says the moon is 4.6 billion years old. Let's turn back to page 78. And here we will see in paragraph 1, it says, when scientists studied the moon, they found out that it is almost as old as planet Earth, 4.6 billion years old. So that statement is true. They are more or less the same age, 4.6 billion years old. Let's now go back to question 3, or statement 3. It states there that the surface of the moon is full of holes. Let's please turn back to page 78. And on page 78, in paragraph 1 to 3, in paragraph 3, it says the surface of the moon is full of craters. Craters are large, dark, hollow, empty holes covering the moon's surface. So there we see the word holes covering the moon's surface. So indeed, we can state that that statement is true. At question 3, we can say that is true. The surface of the moon is full of holes. Let's look at question 4. Here at question 4, we see, when you see a full moon in the sky at night, this means that the sun is directly facing planet Earth. Let's look at page 78 again. And on page 78, it clearly states that when you see a full moon in the sky at night, watch this. This means that the sun is directly behind planet Earth and not facing planet Earth. So that statement is false. If we look at that statement, at statement 4, we'll see there that when you see a full moon in the sky at night, this means that the sun is directly facing planet Earth. That is false. That means that the sun is directly behind planet Earth as seen in the text. If we look at question 5, my apologies. If we look at question 5, at the bottom here, it says that a capsule refers to a vehicle that can easily fly into space. If you look on page 80, I want to take you quickly to page 80. Please turn there. On page 80, at the top here where I've got the cursor, we'll see here that it says a capsule, in brackets, a vehicle or means of transportation to carry humans and animals into outer space. So let's go back to page 81. A capsule refers to a vehicle that can easily fly into space. That statement is actually true. It is correct. Question 6. The surface of the moon is always lit because the moon has no atmosphere. Let's read that again. The surface of the moon is always lit because the moon has no atmosphere. I would like you now to please turn again to page 78. And on page 78, we'll see the following. If you look here where my cursor is, it says here, when you're on the surface of the moon, it will always be dark. So that statement is false. It will always be dark around you because the moon has no atmosphere. So that is where we'll find the answer to that question. Let us move on. We'll see here at this question, question 7, it takes about a month for the moon to orbit around Earth. It takes about a month for the moon to orbit around Earth. And I'd like you to turn to page 79, please. Here, as you can see on page 79, we'll find the answer to that statement. It says here, right on the top, it takes about a month, 28 to 30 days for the moon to orbit, move around the Earth. So that statement is in fact correct. It is true. Let's go back. Question 8. Neil Armstrong was the first artificial satellite launched from Earth to the moon. Let's turn to page 79, please. It says here, Neil Armstrong, the first man to set foot on the moon. So that statement is incorrect. Neil Armstrong was the first artificial satellite. False. Neil Armstrong, as seen on page 79, was the first man to set foot on the moon. Question 9. Luna 9 was the first Russian spacecraft to land on the surface of the moon. Let's please turn to page 80 now. And on page 80, we should find the answer to that question. Right at the top here, and I'll underline it for you, we'll see that Luna 9 was the first Russian spacecraft to land on the surface of the moon. So that statement is in fact correct. Question 9 is true. And the very last question, in 1957, Laika the dog was sent to space by the Soviet Union. Let's go to page 80 for that question. And here we'll see, here where I have the cursor right now, and I'll annotate it for you as well. In 1957, Laika the dog was sent to space by the Soviet Union. So question 10 is in fact true. It is correct. Now, what I'd like you quickly to do is to please have a look at some of this. I've also done it for you like this. So the first answer is false. The moon, unlike Earth, has very little gravity. Number 2 is true. Number 3 is true. Number 4 is false. It means that the sun is directly behind Earth. Number 5 is true. Number 6, false. It is always dark because the moon has no atmosphere. And number 7 is true. Number 8 is false. He was the first man to set foot on Earth. And number 9 is true. And number 10 is also true. Thank you, grade 8s, for that session.